It is your responsibility." The people answered, "His blood be on us and on our children." Reluctantly, Pilate conceded. Jesus was handed over to be flogged. The Roman soldiers took him away, their cruelty unchecked. They stripped him and tied him to a post, lashing him repeatedly with a whip embedded with metal and bone. Each strike tore into his flesh, leaving him bloodied and broken. Yet even in his agony, Jesus bore the suffering without complaint, resolute in his mission to redeem the world. The Roman soldiers showed no mercy as they mocked Jesus with cruel disdain. They wove a crown of thorns and pressed it onto his head, each thorn piercing his skin as blood trickled down his face. Draping a purple robe around his shoulders, they sneered with derision. "Hail, King of the Jews!" Their mockery knew no bounds as they struck him repeatedly, spit on him, and knelt before him in false homage. The humiliation added to the physical agony, yet Jesus endured it all in silence. Weakened from the flogging, Jesus was forced to carry his own cross through the streets of Jerusalem toward Golgotha, the place of the skull. The weight of the wood bore down on his battered body, causing him to stumble. A man named Simon of Cyrene, passing by, was compelled by the soldiers to help him carry the cross. Along the way, women from the crowd wailed in sorrow. Turning to them, Jesus, despite his suffering, spoke with compassion. "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children." Arriving at Golgotha, the soldiers drove nails through his hands and feet, fastening him to the cross. They hoisted it upright, and Jesus, suspended between heaven and earth, bore the weight of the world's sin. In the midst of his unimaginable pain, he lifted his voice to heaven. "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Even in his agony, his love and mercy shone. Two thieves were crucified alongside him, one on his right and the other on his left. One of them, consumed by anger, mocked him, saying, "Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other thief, filled with remorse, rebuked his companion. "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence? We are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." Turning to Jesus, he pleaded, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." With profound compassion, Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." At noon, darkness enveloped the land, an eerie silence falling over the scene as creation itself seemed to mourn. For 3 hours, the sun refused to shine. Near the end, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" In this cry of desolation, he bore the full weight of humanity's sin and separation from God. Moments later, Jesus declared, "It is finished." With his final breath, he prayed, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Then he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At that instant, the ground trembled violently and rocks split apart. In the temple, the thick veil that separated the Holy of Holies was torn in two from top to bottom, symbolizing that the barrier between God and humanity had been forever removed. A Roman centurion, witnessing the events, was filled with awe and declared, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." Jesus' lifeless body was taken down from the cross by Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy disciple, and Nicodemus, who had come to Jesus by night. They wrapped his body in linen and placed it in a new tomb carved out of rock. A large stone was rolled across the entrance, and guards were stationed to secure it. On the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and other women went to the tomb, carrying spices to anoint his body. To their astonishment, they found the stone rolled away and the tomb empty. Suddenly, a radiant angel appeared and said, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee that the Son of Man must be delivered into the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day rise again." Filled with wonder and joy, the women ran to tell the disciples. Peter and John raced to the tomb, discovering it empty, just as the women had said. Confusion turned to amazement as they began to understand that Jesus had indeed risen. In the garden, Jesus appeared to Mary Magdalene, who was weeping. "Mary," he said, his voice tender and familiar. Recognizing him, she cried out, "Rabboni," and fell at his feet. Jesus said, "Do not cling to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go and tell my brothers, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God." Over the following days, Jesus appeared to his disciples multiple times, showing them the wounds in his hands and side. "Peace be with you," he said, comforting their fearful hearts. Breathing on them, he said, "Receive the Holy Spirit." His presence transformed their despair into joy and their doubt into faith. Finally, on a mountaintop in Galilee, Jesus gathered his disciples one last time. "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me," he proclaimed. "Go, therefore, and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age." As he blessed them, Jesus was lifted up to heaven, a cloud hiding him from their sight. The disciples, gazing upward, were addressed by two men in white robes.